brother. The numbers don't lie.
Cream, rise to the top. Oh,
yeah. And welcome to the cell. Let's do it. Why one? I can't believe I just did that. That's awkward.
Okay,
well,
we can do it again.
Well, why not? Just leave it in. Whatever. I used to broadcasting in the studio for the morning show. Hank Ambrose with you, host of The Cell. We're going to get into it. And very good friend, someone new in my life, joining the program today for the very first time, making his Cell debut, Scott Nolte.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Hey, Scott, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
So I guess I haven't really talked much about my personal life and what I do for my real job, but I am a DJ. I have dropped some hints from here and there, and I do live in the northwest part of the state of Iowa, and Scott Nolte, who is on the podcast today, has been here for some time, and you really have taken me under your wing, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been so good to me up here. And then I feel like we've really done a great job of hitting it off, on and off air, and
yeah,
we've also have a shared likeness of wrestling too.
Yes, exactly.
So that's perfect. So Scott, again, thanks for joining us for the show today.
Glad to be here.
So on the show, we talk pro wrestling, we rate, review, and we go through some news headlines, and some more news has came out since the last Cell we've done. The last time we did an episode of The Cell, it quite literally was the day that the news broke out about Vince McMahon and the allegations, like 20 minutes into the recording. And of course, everyone knows everything else, so we're not going to touch on every single little bit of detail. But I do see, as of this recording, there is a statement from the lawyer of John Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace, who has been also accused of not only sex trafficking, but the sexual assault. And I have a statement here. This comes from Vice News. A lawyer for John Laurinaitis appeared to corroborate central claims in the sex trafficking lawsuit while disputing Laurinaitis' role as described in the complaint. Edward Brennan, the lawyer, said that his client is himself a victim, just like plaintiff Janelle Grant, a former WWE employee. Brennan says Mr. Laurinaitis denies the allegations in the misguided complaint and will be vigorously defending these charges in court, not the media. Like the plaintiff, Mr. Laurinaitis is a victim in this case, not a predator. The truth will come out. End quote. So interesting developments here, and we will see how this turns into. What this does say to me, in my opinion, and I am not educated in law. I don't have I don't have any rights, or I don't have the criteria, I'd say, to truly dive into this. Just sharing the headlines and what I believe is very, very important to know and out there is that this is John Laurinaitis, I guess, and his staff saying that something obviously was going on.
Right.
Because he immediately went into defensive mode.
Yeah.
And, I did see some defense of Vince, actually, as I was just reading through X and Facebook and other comments. People were really quick to, well, hang on, innocent till proven guilty, that sort of thing. And I even saw something that Chris Jericho reposted. When he, just a few months ago, got in trouble for, he hasn't gotten in trouble, but he was accused of sexual harassment.
Right.
And he liked to tweet basically saying everyone was so quick to jump on Chris's back instead of Vince. So to me, and of course there's still going to be doubters and stuff, but to me I think that makes it even more of a straighter path of, yes, something very serious was still going on.
Yeah. It is going to be a very interesting weeks or months or maybe even years. Before all this plays out, and how things develop and how lives were changed and It'll be interesting to follow.
It will, and we will spectate and report from the sideline.
Yeah.
Again, I do not have the criteria.
I don't either.
Yeah, so I don't want to act like I do. I just want to report what I feel is very important in the pro wrestling industry because it will change things.
It will.
Most certainly. I also read something that this is the first time in 80 years or something that the WWE, or formerly WWF or WWWF, has not been ran by a McMahon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
some changes there, too.
Some changes there.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Now, with that said, I guess there are a lot of expectations that Stephanie will come back into role in some way or another.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some other news I see is Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
Previously Sasha Banks is expected to appear for AEW in March. Now, signed to AEW is not the official word, but she has gone online to say that by March I will be wrestling in a ring, but not for the WWE. So she has said that, and with all the partnerships that AEW has, you must assume that Mercedes Moné will be making her way back to America for the first time in years.
Right.
Now, of course, it's not completely in the works, so we will see moving forward. Otherwise, that's what we got for news, and the main shtick of this show is to review, and we are going to review the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Now, we had very similar experiences watching the Rumble, Scott, because we were working at the time it first hit live.
Yes.
And then, so I missed basically the first 10 picks almost. I think I was, or maybe I joined at pick number 7 for the women's match.
Yes.
You elected to instead watch it basically after it was all said and over and stayed offline. How did that experience go for you, by the way?
Yeah, that was hard,
Yeah.
Because that night in our time zone, it started at 7, and I got home around 8-ish, and I knew that the pay-per-view was going to go until 10 or 10:30 or something, and then it takes a while to re-upload to Peacock, and I wanted to watch at least the women's match, and so I stayed up and kept refreshing my Peacock streaming service, and it finally came on, I don't know, 11:30 or something, the replay, and I did finish the women's match that night, and then the next morning I finished the rest of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But from the time I got home to the time I went to bed, I just stayed off my phone because I knew if I opened up, X or Facebook, that I would see some stuff, and even in the morning when I woke up, I just kind of put my phone aside until I finished watching. Because I just didn't. The Royal Rumble is my favorite event of the year. Those two matches, the Royal Rumble matches, are my two favorite matches. Obviously, WrestleMania is awesome, but those two matches, just the intrigue and the excitement and who's next, those are my two favorite matches of the year. So I did not want to be spoiled by what I saw online.
I had a hard time just with me reacting when you were driving home, us home from work. Yeah. And if you will also, Scott, can you describe maybe what type of wrestling fan you are? Because I've had a few different guests on, and I think they all fill different types of wrestling fans. And I think you also would be in that mix.
Yeah, so clarify that for me just a little bit.
Yeah, so most recently I had a very good friend of mine named Payne on, who is not a wrestling fan at all in the slightest.
Okay.
Previously, I have had a friend named Jackson on, who is an avid 2010s wrestling fan.
Okay.
TNA, WWE, got a little bit of AEW, and then he fell out of it.
Okay.
And he basically kind of was like me in that he took some time off of watching wrestling. And then I have another friend, Jay, who basically has watched every bit of everything, very knowledgeable about anything for a long time. And he is an older school wrestling fan for sure.
Okay.
Well, I say older school. When I say that, I mean the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah.
No offense if that wasn't your thinking of when I said old school for anyone listening. So those are some examples.
Okay. Grew up watching wrestling when I was younger, 80s and 90s, like religiously.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning, Saturday night main event. Went to multiple house shows. Hulk Hogan was my favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
And so really grew up watching everything 80s and 90s. And then when I got towards college and 2000s, I didn't watch it on a regular basis, but I still kind of caught up with the headlines. Like I still knew, and I'd still watch like the big pay-per-views like Rumble, WrestleMania. And back then, we'd have to get with a bunch of friends and you'd order pay-per-view and then you all chip in about 10 or 15 bucks. And
Gosh.
yeah. I mean, pay-per-views used to be like 50, 70, 80 bucks depending on what pay-per-view you wanted to buy.
Yeah.
WrestleMania was the more expensive one. So we'd all chip in like 10 or 15 bucks to subscribe to our the pay-per-view on television. But then I picked it back up on a more regular basis, late 2010s. And then here in the 20s, I'll DVR like a Raw or SmackDown and, I'll watch it, but I'll kind of fast forward a lot of stuff and still get the headlines and different things. So I'm kind of a mixed bag, really heavy early on. But then I've just kind of stayed with it and stayed with the headlines throughout.
To me, it sounds like you know what is really good wrestling and what isn't.
Yeah.
And you don't have time for the mid card, maybe a glimpse like you said.
and I do love going to Raws. House shows are fun. And I've taken my daughters to some shows, and we do love the live events too. So.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah.
I'm really happy you brought up Hulk Hogan because you have a very creative mind, and you had a great idea. At first, I thought it was, I don't know. And then I thought about it, and I was like, that actually would be awesome. Could you share with us your idea, which was a prediction, I believe, for the Rumble with Hulk Hogan?
Well, I feel like WWE missed an opportunity here.
Big time.
First of all, the Men's Royal Rumble, and I know we're going to dive into this a little bit, but the Rumble is in Hogan's home city, Tampa.
Yeah,
and they have had this latest merchandise of the 40 years of Hogan or whatever it is. They've come out with new merchandise for him. They had him cut some promos about that area. And I'm like, Hogan's coming out. And that music's going to hit, and that's going to be a huge pop.
Oh, my gosh.
And it just makes sense. He's always said here the last few times, he's like, I would love to have like one more match or not a run because he's 70.
He is.
But, one more kind of time in the ring. And I thought, man, here we go. This is his home city. You got to do it.
Yeah.
And then I also, to go a little step further, if he did get in the Rumble, maybe he eliminates a couple of people, or he does his famous leg drop, but then turns around and he meets Gunther.
Oh gosh.
And awesome. Hogan's past history of meeting with these foreign wrestlers, his feuds with the Iron Sheik, and here you got this German stud out there, and he runs right into him, and then somehow like Gunther eliminates him, and he continues his heel, but I thought they missed an opportunity with Hogan.
I agree.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I am not the biggest Hogan fan. I didn't grow up in the 80s, the 90s. I'm doing a little bit of a rewatch, and hey, I understand it. I get it. That era is not the era that I fell in love with with wrestling, but again, I get it. And then when it wasn't until you started describing everything and got into detail with Hogan versus Gunther and all that, and that's when I was like, man, that would have been awesome.
Would have been awesome.
And, I guess they could still do it, but the Rumble is where you really should let him out.
Yeah, because, Hogan's not going to go like a full match. He's not ready or built right now or ever, for a 10, 15, 20-minute match.
No.
So you go to a Rumble, and he's in there for a couple of minutes, and maybe he makes a couple eliminations, and then Gunther sends him over. I mean, and then he gets a loud boo because he just sent over the American hero, Hulk Hogan, who's in his home city, and then it pushes Gunther more. I mean, come on.
Could you imagine?
It was there.
Could you imagine Gunther in the 80s?
Oh, yeah.
He would be the top heel.
Yeah, I mean, he reminds me of like Nikolai Volkov, kind of like that tough, he was the Russian, but Gunther, the tough German. I mean, yeah, he would have been perfect.
He would have been perfect.
Yeah.
He really would have been. Well, now that we got a little bit of background of you, how about we start this reviewing process at the beginning with the women's match, the women's Royal Rumble. This was a really solid Royal Rumble for the women's.
Yes.
Bold that women's.
Yes, bold the women.
There was a lot of things we saw for the very first time. There was debuts that were made. There were no throwbacks, well, I guess there was a return. But there were no throwbacks, which is disappointing.
It is disappointing. I like to see, one or two or whatever, but the women's match was by far the superior match on the night.
And knowing what they did with, I don't know if you can officially call them partners or like doing that deal with TNA, and getting Naomi as well as Sparks to get on. Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
It was great. I love what they did. That Jordan Grace was awesome. Just really solid women's Royal Rumble, and love the outcome. Love the little side joke of R-Truth coming out.
Yes.
I mean, that was great. It reminded me of the time Santino Marella, So, well done. Whoever was behind the women's Royal Rumble, nice job.
I agree with you completely. And the fact they even let Grace come out with the belt.
Yes.
That is crazy.
It was crazy.
I mean, an opposing brand's belt showing up on the WWE is insane.
Unheard of. Yes.
I mean, besides Ric Flair in 1992, I can't recall another time up until the invasion.
Yes.
So, it was quite incredible. But yeah, the returns were awesome. By the time they got down to, they did the same thing in the WWE or the men's match. And by the time they got to the final six, I felt like it was, okay, these are the people that are legit going for the title.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see a Rumble where they get down to the final six and it could be like three bozos and then the three.
Yeah, right.
But no, these were six legit wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I remember, so I did not do a fantasy booking for the women's match. And I plan on doing a fantasy booking for every WWE pay-per-view, how I would book it and all that. But with the Rumble so big, it's hard to, So that was one of the reasons why I only did one for the men's, but also because they didn't build the women's at all. And that's what shocks me the most of how good it was without building it.
Yeah, I saw like 3 or 4 competitors before the event, and otherwise it was hardly talked about.
Yeah. And Bayley, by the way, filled her role perfectly. Came out third, so didn't come out first or second. Broke the women's record, which was set by Rhea Ripley last year. Beat it by a minute. And, I tell you what, Damage Control has had a lot of ups and downs. I wish they've been booked to win a lot more in the past, half a year or however long. But they really haven't. Io Sky, I still don't believe has defended the women's title.
Yeah, that's been disappointing.
Yeah, because she's great.
She's great. I don't know what they're doing with that faction. I do love the fact that Bayley won the Rumble. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Io Sky, where's the title defenses here?
Well, to me, with what you just said, which I also agree with, is that WWE doesn't know what to do with a women's faction.
Yeah.
It's too green for them. It's too green of an era. Because we got to keep in mind that women's wrestling at a predominant level is still fairly new, specifically for the WWE. And, they're still trying to figure that out. And to me, as, this episode is being recorded Thursday, SmackDown is Friday, where Bayley will make her decision. But for me, it's Bayley who's going to go after Io and split up the faction.
Yeah, I don't like that, though.
Which is too bad. Do I like it? I don't think I like it either, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, because if when watching a Monday Night Raw, you saw Nia Jax come out, and she's basically threatening Bayley not to choose her, not to choose Rhea. So it's almost kind of like Rhea is going to be facing Nia.
Yeah,
down the line. Yikes.
And we'll get back to the Women's Rumble in just a second. But to add on to Nia going after Rhea or wanting Rhea to challenge her for the big gold for the women's title, and not a fan of Nia. And I do like that she has that immovable force build, though.
Yeah.
There needs to be a woman that has that build.
Yeah.
Big Show or the Andre of the women's division. But she, to me, can't cut a promo. She harms wrestlers all the times.
Yeah.
She's been in shoot fights in matches, like fighting Charlotte Flair legit, slapping her. I'm not a fan of Nia Jax.
Right.
But I think you just have to have it. That's just what we have right now.
Yeah.
But what's also interesting is they also have a feud going with her and Becky Lynch, which I don't think is close to being over.
Right.
And I'm assuming that will resume at the Elimination Chamber, which it'll probably come down to, my bet is it'll come down to Becky versus Nia, to then go on to face Rhea.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking is what
I think you're right.
doing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Now, they could also put Liv Morgan, Jade Cargill, or Bianca Belair in that mix, but I think they're going to do Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill because the way they dead-eyed each other in the Women's Royal Rumble match, how historic it would be to have two black women to be able to wrestle against each other, especially during Black History Month for the upcoming pay-per-view. I think that would be something that would just be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe those two are in the Elimination Chamber, and maybe one was going to get the victory, but then the other one messed it up or something. So then it starts an even bigger feud, and then they meet at WrestleMania maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, I think that would be awesome.
Yes. But again, back to breaking down the Women's Rumble, we saw a lot of really cool moments. I love that they were able to work Chelsea Green and the tag team wrestlers, tag teams into the match. The three main ones right now are Damage Control as a women's champs, which I remember you telling me off air how ridiculous it was. They took the titles away from KC before the Rumble, and I agree.
Yeah, why you do that?
Yeah,
you didn't even give them any kind of run. I know you want to build up Damage Control, but man, they have started to, and KC is what I call them. They continue to not have a name. Yeah.
But their first and last name still starts with a K and then a C. But, they still made them look really tough in the Rumble.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green had some really fun comedy spots. They kind of replaced Alpha Academy with their spot, like the Otis catch.
Yeah.
And
Maxine was in there.
Maxine was in there.
Yeah.
And there was a few spots where it was kind of like, okay, it was just wasted. But it's the Rumble. It's supposed to be that way. Final three did surprise me a little bit. Liv Morgan at 30 came out, and it was her versus Bayley versus Jade Cargill.
Yes.
And what a great start for Jade Cargill and her career.
She looked great.
She literally looked great. I mean, the physique is incredible. The moves, lifted Nia, put her over the ropes. Yeah, she totally did.
Yeah, good showing.
And I also liked that the match ended on just the outside of the ropes.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of Rumbles that do that. And specifically the way they did it, Bayley just flinging her body back in and then lying down and kicking, kind of like a mule kick, I guess, if you will. That was a cool way they ended that.
Cool way to end it, and good for Bayley. And I think I saw something where now 3 out of the original women's horsemen of the NXT have now are going to headline WrestleMania or something. And I think the only one is, I can't think of who it is, but her and Becky Lynch have been a part of it. And
then it was Sasha.
Or no, it was 3 of the 4 have won Royal Rumble. That's what it was.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes, and Sasha would be the odd man out.
Right.
Yes. But now that Bayley will be headlining WrestleMania, well, actually, I think there's a chance she doesn't, because I don't think the women's are guaranteed to headline Mania.
Right,
just a title shot.
Just a title shot.
But I do believe that she is the last one to not main event a WrestleMania out of the horse women.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right.
And then for the first time in God knows how long, Roman Reigns didn't main event a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And they had the fatal 4-way match, Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles versus LA Knight versus Randy Orton.
Yeah.
What were your takes?
That match was second, correct?
It was second.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of what it was. I'm getting kind of tired of the Roman shtick of always getting help to win. I get it storyline-wise, but I thought for the most part, and it kind of surprised me, but I thought for the most part that match was at times kind of boring.
I agree with you. Now, I agree with you in both ways in the sense of I'm sick of the Roman shtick that he can't win without someone helping him out from the bloodline, and also the fact that it always has to be solo to help him out.
Yeah.
Can't they sign someone from the women's side and make them part of the bloodline, or even sign an outside source like Jacob Fatu, another member of the bloodline?
Yeah, I've been waiting for months and years, for that matter, of the bloodline to grow. And, I didn't think it'd be like NWO, type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I thought, hey, how cool would it to be, maybe you sign, or maybe you have Nia Jax on your, hey, come join the bloodline. And you start getting you just build this big empire, who's going to stop us?
Yeah.
And, yeah, then it's just kind of stayed the same with Solo, every once in a while Jimmy, but I don't know. Yeah.
Now, there are thoughts that the reason that Roman may not be wrestling as much and such a part-timer is because of the leukemia, and in certain shots you can even see his scars from his cancer.
Right.
But nothing official. That those are just kind of rumors. So that maybe has something to do with it, but it doesn't fix the fact that it was not very good booking.
Yeah.
AJ Styles taking the pin too, I felt like was pretty rough for him in his career.
Yeah.
I thought he was the one guy that couldn't take the pin.
Yeah.
But no, that's what happened. It had its moments at the end where it really started to rile up, but I think you could say just about every wrestling match has that.
Yeah.
Especially on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Disappointing.
Definitely disappointing. And then the third match of the night, Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens. Mm-hmm. And I got to give my man Kurt props. Logan Paul did win this one. Mm-hmm. He's going to at least the next pay-per-view with the United States Championship. I'm assuming he'll go to Mania with the championship as well. I think it's good to connect the different types of audiences, the younger fan base he has, the little girls that watch Logan Paul. I think it's great.
I think it's great too. I actually enjoyed this match a little bit. And at the end, KO hits him, and I'm like, Oh my gosh, he gave him a taste of his own medicine with the knucks and knocks him flat out, and then brilliant. He's covering him, and the official notices.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that was awesome.
That writing was great.
That was,
and to get that on a pay-per-view, I enjoyed that.
That was good.
Now, I do know why some people really hate a disqualification ending on a pay-per-view, but I don't think it was a case this one. I thought it was a great. I think this is one of the few exceptions where it is a home run.
Home run. I love the ending.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if you saw this online. Kevin Owens evidently wrestled that whole match with a fractured foot.
Ugh, that guy's so tough. That does not surprise me.
Yeah. I also saw a backstage interview that he did, like it was a personal post type of thing that he did with Becky. And
yes,
did you check?
I saw a little bit of that.
He and the caption was something along the lines of even Rocky needed a Mickey, referencing the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens was trying to say some sort of word. I don't remember what it was, but he was stumbling through it really bad. And I feel you, because I have those days, especially when I wake up to do the morning show. Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was good. I got a good crack out of that.
Good match.
Good. Yeah, that was a good match.
Yeah.
And now for the dreaded men's 2024 Royal Rumble. Now, we have to take into consideration, because of the recent news, that this appears to have sounded heavily changed.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Brock Lesnar was supposed to play a much bigger role in this. In reports that I read, basically they had Braun Breaker take over what Brock was supposed to do.
Yeah.
But Braun was only able to take over, let's say, like a third or a fourth of what they originally had Brock planning to do, right?
Okay.
Brock, supposed to come in a lot sooner, and Brock actually was supposed to get eliminated by Dominic Mysterio.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what's in the dirt sheets, and that was the talk backstage, and that was going to start a feud between him and Dominic that would have led to Elimination Chamber and then WrestleMania.
Wow.
Which, you know what? Dominic, I mean, people are saying he's the best heel in the game right now. He's got all the talk on the mic. He's got the look, presentation, and the backstory. I don't think he has the in-ring skills yet.
Yeah.
But he's definitely improving.
Yes, I would agree.
I can't imagine Brock putting over Dominic.
Yeah.
Because he's been notorious of, no, brother, you're taking this F5 five times.
So that would have been a handicap match then, right? Brock versus Tom and Nick.
Yeah, I guess it would have been.
Okay.
I hope they expand that. That would be great. I don't know how, but I'm sure they could maybe find a Dominic Mysterio lookalike or something.
Yeah.
And oh god, that's
so
funny.
Good.
Yeah. So with all those Brock changes, what we got was, I think, the next best thing of how they could have opened the Rumble, which was Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso, right at the very beginning. By the way, my fantasy booking that I did, I got nothing right, basically. So for the fan or for the listeners that wanted me to go back and kind of confirm all my answers, I basically got nothing right. So that's your answer for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Jimmy and Jey Uso starting the Rumble, and I specifically really liked that they did Jey at 1 and then Jimmy at 2, because then they got to capture that moment on Jay's face of part of him you could tell was a little hold back. He was taken aback a little bit, but he was also so angry.
Yes. And I love that Jay did come out first because he's hyping up the crowd with his yeet.
Yes.
And the crowd's just all into it. He's standing in the ring and he's doing all of his cheers and the crowd's behind him. And then, yes, Jimmy's music hits. And, yeah, the face reaction was awesome. Great 1-2. That was a great 1-2 booking. I love that decision. I wish it would have went a little bit longer.
I agree.
like
brawling.
Yes. I feel like when 3 got in there and 4, they kind of got away from it. I wish it would have just continued a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, because at number 3, it was Grayson Waller who did basically what they told him to do, and to take all the energy away from the ring and put it on him, because for the first time basically ever, at least on the entrance to the Rumble, someone cut a promo during the Royal Rumble match. Now, CM Punk did that when he was running the Straight Edge Society promo, when he had Gallows with him, and then he had another gal that had a shaved head. And he was, kind of like a malevolent person. Yeah. Sitting crisscross applesauce in the ring.
Right.
But this, to me, just didn't hit as a promo. Now, Grayson has given good promos before, but right now he really is coming off of, he's a punky kid.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how he's supposed to be. But I genuinely dislike him for the fact that they literally took the brawl away from what could have been awesome.
Yes, I would agree. Mm-hmm. Did not like it.
And I would have even liked if they changed the rules a little bit and made the first 2 entrants have to spar for 5 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit extra.
And then they start the timer.
Yeah.
A minute and a half a minute and a half. So those are my thoughts on it. Grayson came out, did his thing. Number 4, we got our first return, Andrade El Idolo. I saw a lot of streamers, by the way, able to nail it down that it was Andrade right away, because of his entrance theme said El Idolo in a really kind of cryptic voice.
Oh, okay.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
I didn't either. I was like, who is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a fantastic costume, by the way.
Yeah.
Great ring attire. Holy cow.
He always seems to have really good ring attire.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah. They did more, just some more things that I remember at the beginning of the Rumble. They eventually put in Escobar and they teased that sort of thing. What are some of the things that I'm missing at the beginning of the Rumble? See, that's the problem, is this Rumble is, to me, so unrememberable because they had to fix so many of these spots. So when there was an elimination, it felt very, I don't know if I'm supposed to go now. Should I wait?
Yeah.
And because every elimination, basically, was a simple throw over the top ropes. They didn't have any cool finishers.
No.
Really, nothing of that.
No, and I know the changes from Brock and all that, but it was a mess.
It was. They Santos tried to welcome in Andrade. He wasn't a fan, and they continue to fight. They eventually again brought in Dominic and then Finn. And then JD and the R-Truth spot. Let's cover this. So JD is making his way into the ring, and I don't recall how at the moment now, but he gets taken out and is put on the side.
Yeah.
And then R-Truth music hits.
Yes.
And he comes down and throws him in. And JD is eliminated right away. When I was watching it live, I thought he broke Santino's record, which is like an eighth of a second or something. Insane.
Right.
Because he did it so quick. And then R-Truth got up on the canvas and he tried to tag in Dominic or get himself tagged in.
And he did.
He did.
It was he first ever tag in a Royal Rumble, and it was phenomenal, and the crowd ate it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
R-Truth is so over.
There is nothing wrong that R-Truth can do right now.
No. He reminds me a lot of the Sami Zayn vibes that we got last year. And when Santino Marella was such a big star, I remember listening to a podcast. Santino Marella was on a podcast with Chris Van Vliet, I believe, who is a notorious reporter for pro wrestling. And in this podcast, he was talking about how because there's always ever-changing spots, and then like sometimes wrestlers literally don't know until like halfway through the match who is going to win the belt. And I believe it was at the Elimination Chamber. There was Elimination Chamber match where Santino, where they really hesitated on putting Santino over instead of whoever was champ at time, Alberto Del Rio, or maybe he was going to pin Edge or something. So, I mean, things can happen on a fly.
Right.
Anyway, R-Truth ended up getting eliminated by Damian Priest.
Viciously.
Yeah, Priest is awesome, and he obviously has made it known that he is no longer a fan of R-Truth.
Yes.
He was skeptical of him at first, liked that he would basically crap on JD, and now it's like, no more.
No more distractions. We need to get back to Judgment Day, and they showed that on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's another thing I was thinking about. Did you have a weird feeling watching it? Like, what am I missing? Because it was like the first pay-per-view that didn't have like a Rhea or Seth match.
Yeah.
In like forever.
Yeah.
I thought it
was missing
weird.
Something for sure. And well, we kind of knew that going in, like, wow, they only have 2 Rumble matches and the Fatal 4-Way and the U.S. title. There's got to be something else.
Yeah.
We kept saying that, and nothing else.
Yeah, nothing else. Even at the end, we thought, oh, maybe we'll get another CM Punk type of return or debut.
Something.
I have to say I respect the wrestling community so much for, especially the bookers for multiple promotions who could have easily given away that MJF isn't in the Rumble, but instead they still let that out in the open of, he could or could not be, because this is the bidding war of 24. Right. MJF is, hasn't announced if he is signed with AEW, or he's still free agent, he's injured, quotations. He could have made an appearance. Not saying I would have liked that, but it's the Rumble and it gives exterior hope. Here's my thought on MJF real quickly. Go ahead. He would be better off, in my opinion, re-signing with AEW. I think WWE right now is way too stacked with male talent. Yes. I just don't know. There's so many people deserving of belts, and I don't know how you can sign someone like that right now and then try to find a belt for him. And MJF has way too many stories to finish with AEW. Yeah. He in my opinion, he'd be better off just re-signing with AEW, become the face of the company. Yeah. And honestly, if I were to say, if there was like a fantasy draft of every pro wrestler, and if I had the first overall pick, I would draft MJF first overall. Yeah, there you go. I'm a big MJF fan. I think he's the dude. Yeah. Perfect heel. Going back to the Rumble. Yeah. We got to stop pushing Omos. Yeah. It's not working. I don't know what you do with him, but not him. Pat McAfee entry was surprising for, I guess, him, and I didn't like it. There's a couple others. So I'm thinking you took like 3 or 4 spots away from some. So where was Pete Dunne? Where was some members of Alpha Academy? Those are Alpha Academy right now is hot too. So where's Chad Gable? Where's Otis? The Creed brothers. I was just going to say Creed brothers. Like we mentioned earlier, Hogan should have been in it. Maybe he declined. I don't know the backstory, but you should have tried something. I think 3 or 4 spots were wasted. That would be even crazier if Hogan declined. Yeah. Sorry, brother. Sorry. I'm saying my prayers, eating my vitamins. I have too many prayers and vitamins. But yeah, for McAfee to go in and out, and then out like 18 seconds, stupid. Omos was dumb. Grayson Waller, dumb. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 of them where you could have given spots to other people. They killed the Kofi spot. Yes. I mean, we literally didn't get one. I know he's made like 3 years in a row with mistakes. Yeah. But literally didn't even, try. Give him an attempt. I know. So I just, not happy. The Rock was not even brought up
No.
at the Rumble. Even when they got to the 30 spot with Sami Zayn, it would have been interesting to hear them bring up on commentary. So The Rock wasn't selected or didn't get raffled in or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I would give the Men's Rumble just a total miss.
Oh,
It was uninspiring, and it was really disappointing that that's what they came up with for the Men's Royal Rumble.
So right now, for me, the Rumble's a D. If Cody doesn't win a championship at WrestleMania, that grade becomes like an F, 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 F. Because what's the point of having Cody win it 2 years in a row if you're not going to give him some kind of championship?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Which is going to be the next thing that I want to talk about when we're done.
Okay.
By the time we're done with the Royal Rumble. So Royal Rumble gets down to the final two, CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. CM Punk legit gets injured, tore his triceps, which is an injury that he has fought with before in AEW.
Yeah.
Apparently it happened during a botched Drew McIntyre DDT, or like the faceplant DDT type of thing. I don't recall.
I don't know if it was so much botched, was it?
Well, I'm not saying that it was botched.
Yeah.
But it was in terms of it gone wrong, I guess.
Yeah. Or maybe Punk didn't land right or something, or McIntyre had it. I don't know. To me, I saw the move and it didn't look like anything out of the ordinary. But
because that was the other thing that I think me and you both talked about this off air was CM Punk looked crappy. He looked like crap.
Yeah.
But this was before the injury news came out.
Right. And also, it was his first time in a long time. I mean, he'd been on Raws and different things, cutting promos and coming out to his music, but he hadn't been wrestling since he came over from AEW. So this is his first match, and he looked gassed out there. He
looked gassed out there, and of course, with his injury,
that didn't help either.
That did not help at all. But the final 6, much like the women, shows everyone who I believe the WWE is pushing for that world title belt spot. Which it was unfortunate that Jey Uso didn't end up making that top 6.
Yeah.
But because he was eliminated at around the 20 mark.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, who I would love to get a title on him, lasted just 3 minutes and 12 seconds in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And he came in at number 30.
Yeah, I don't get that.
They killed him.
Yes. I don't understand that move.
No, I mean, you brought him, and I don't even remember if he ended up getting an elimination or not, but you simply killed him. 3 minutes, entrant number 30.
Yeah.
Horrible. And then we got to the end. Cody ended up winning. Some fans speculating online that it was CM Punk who was supposed to win, but he ended up on the fly telling Cody to throw him over because he knew that his injury was serious. I don't think that's the case.
I don't think that's the case.
I think Cody was always supposed to win.
I do too. I think it kind of builds his story of finishing the story, and now he's just one of a few superstars to go back to back.
4.
So then you got that now kind of on his story and his resume. Hey, I went back to back, which is hardly been done. So yeah, I think Cody was supposed to be the winner all along. Yeah.
Hogan, HBK, Stone Cold, Cody.
Yeah.
Or your 4 back-to-back Royal Rumble winners.
Yes.
In terms of years and matches. And right away, he got up on the buckle, and he pointed towards Roman.
Yes.
It's obviously him he wants. And then we got to Monday Night Raw, and there's a new narrative thrown out there, which I'm happy about, but I don't believe is what should happen. And that's that Seth confronted Cody, and Seth basically said something very interesting that I'm assuming you and other fans of that genre would hate.
Yes.
Did you hear what he said specifically about the other belt?
Not in like direct quote to quote, but something about, Hulk Hogan and
Yeah.
do you want the belt Hulk Hogan had, and kind of almost like referring to it as a fake kind of appointed belt by the higher ups type of deal.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted it.
I believe I have it. And by the way, Monday Night Raw was one of the best Raws.
That was really good.
It pulled the highest viewership in like a long time, in like 14 years.
They always say, Raw after Mania. But I felt like last year's Raw after Mania was not good, my opinion. But I thought this Raw after Rumble was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought they did good.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, indirect quote, do you want the Hulk Hogan title, the Hollywood title, the one people who politic their way to the top 4, or do you want the Dusty Rhodes title, the blue collar title? And that, I don't know if Seth told Cody he was going to say that in the promo beforehand, but either way, Cody, you could tell, like, really like got choked up and had a look in his eye of, holy crap.
That looked genuine, too.
So, Seth is way too damn good in ring and cutting promos that now it seems he's working Cody to maybe maneuver himself out of the WWE title and go for him. Now, again, I believe that it would be the right move with the time they've built to have Cody finish the story over Reigns.
Yes.
But 100% they need to finish the story Cody versus Seth as well. Cody versus Seth was Cody's first opponent coming back into the WWE.
Right.
They had the first 5-star, which I get it's, not everyone agrees with the lists of Dave Meltzer, but the first 5-star WWE match in the 2010s or 2020s. The only one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The only one in the 2010s or 2020s.
Right.
The first one, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha.
And they have teased the feud. They stare at each other. They had to make a partnership during Survivor Series. They definitely need to finish the feud there. But again, with the Royal Rumble happening, I just think that they got to do that.
Yeah.
And then they could plug in Drew McIntyre or Sami Zayn versus Seth for the title.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think somehow you get Cody to beat Roman. I don't know how. If there's interference, I don't know. But somehow that's got to happen. I think Drew beats Seth. And then, and then Seth leaves for a little bit, maybe to rehab, so he can get back to full strength, because we know he's not going to be at full strength for Mania. And then you have Cody as kind of the face, and you have Drew as the heel there. And then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point that Seth goes on vacation to rehab. There's no way that he can continue to be the champion, after WrestleMania. He could do a thing where maybe he wins and then he relinquishes the title.
I don't see that.
I don't see that either.
I don't see that.
It would be in his character, I would say, because he knows that that's the workhorse title.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason they started it, to have a workhorse champion.
Right.
And it would defeat the point of it if he came out and, didn't have it. So I think the most likely is he is going to put whoever over. And definitely some would say Drew. Others would say Sami. I would say Drew.
I would too.
Especially with what he's got going on right now. That heel is freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He posted a TikTok yesterday, which was insane. Drew was working out. He was working out his triceps, and he was very bold about enunciating triceps. And basically, like, a real man has strong triceps.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's real. The GIFs and the memes you've seen on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram of his face down on the mat looking at him. And one of the best heel promos I've heard, or I guess not promos, but one-liners, is I prayed for you to get injured.
Yeah.
This injury.
He's knocking it out of the park right now.
Yeah. So, again, I would love that. I will definitely be making a video in the coming weeks about doing my fantasy booking on the Elimination Chamber. Again, I will be making them all throughout the year, and I will be doing them for other promotions as well. For the listeners that were wondering about that, I will be doing AEW as well. I'm sure I'll try to do TNA. I'm a baby when it comes to TNA stuff.
Right.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm newborn.
It's a new roster over there too, so
Completely.
right.
Yeah. That was basically the gist of everything for the WWE side of things. Any other comments about the Royal Rumble that we left off?
No, I don't think so. It started off good.
Yeah.
Ended terrible.
Oh, actually, you know what? I must say they did a great job at building their young stars as well.
Yeah.
Women's and men's.
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne coming out.
Yeah.
Was incredible. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then they also had, again, not Bronson Reed. There's so many B's. There's so many big guys with the B.
Braun Breaker?
Braun Breaker, thank you. I wish he was a Steiner.
Yeah.
Braun Steiner, whatever.
He should have came out with Scott.
Gosh, I would have actually cried if he did. I mean, that would have been just mwah. But so they did a great job building their young stars.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And of course, there was other dumb little stuff that we missed with the Bobby Lashley elimination, Karrion Kross, and just go over it. It's not worth it if you haven't watched it yet. Might as well not. You know that Cody won. Yeah,
watch the women's.
Yeah,
watch the U.S. title. You're good.
Yes, most certainly. Again, the Raw after Rumble was awesome, as you said. There was a lot of new things, new developments that we've gone over a little bit. Another development they had was talking about who's signing where. Andrade sounds to be signing with Raw.
Yep.
And then Braun Breaker sounds like he's signing with SmackDown. And then Tiffany Stratton has also been teased to be signing with Raw.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So that's the WWE side of things. Do you have time? You want to talk shortly about the AEW side of things?
I really don't know much about it, truthfully.
Okay.
I haven't watched it in like months.
So I will share with you the best feud going on in pro wrestling right now is Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page.
Okay.
And Samoa Joe, AEW World Champion. I wanted to bring this up because AEW needs to stay alive. This wrestling promotion is way better than it's getting flack for on the internet. This wrestling promotion is incredible. Right now, what we're looking at is Adam Copeland trying to avenge himself off of that loss from Christian. The Cope Open, where he's wrestling first for the past 3 or 4 weeks because he's so PO'd about Christian and all that stuff, putting some younger guys in awesome spots. But as I just mentioned, Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. I wish I could show you how much I love that match. That's how much this means to me as a wrestling fan. They're coming off of a Dynamite from yesterday. Again, this is being recorded Thursday, the 1st of February, where they had a dealer's choice, which basically Swerve Strickland got to pick who Hangman would pair up against, and Hangman got to pick who Swerve would go up against. It wasn't announced until he hit the ring. Hangman basically brought out RVD to wrestle Swerve Strickland, which was awesome. Hangman went up against an undefeated wrestler from the Mogul Embassy. I don't want to butcher his name. Taloa is part of his name.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay.
Now, they have also announced that this coming Wednesday, they are going to have Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland for the main event, which, if you know, their last 2 matches have been halted 5-star matches. It has also been halted as the greatest Texas death match of all time.
Okay.
And early markings of feud of the year for pro wrestling.
Wow.
And to get this on Dynamite is incredible. And whoever wins gets to become the number one title contender against Samoa Joe. And I think Swerve is going to go undefeated against Hangman, 3-0.
Okay.
Different narrative.
I might have to tune into that.
Yeah, if you are not an AEW wrestler or a fan and you're not very familiar, highly suggest you watch for at least this Wednesday.
Okay.
They got a lot of other great stuff coming out as well. They've started a feud with the CMLL, Luchador Wrestling League.
Okay.
Taking on the BCC, which is exciting. And then there's two other things I want to cover for AEW. Number one is Tony Khan, as he does very often, has announced that he has a special announcement that he is going to make next week.
Oh, my goodness.
And people are speculating Mercedes Moné, Okada as the two main ones.
Okay.
But a fan theory I want to throw out there, maybe it's Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Are you familiar with this person?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, what a crazy story Gypsy Rose had. But Gypsy Rose was just at the most recent airing of AEW Dynamite. And no, I don't actually believe this is going to happen.
Yeah.
But it was just funny to point out. I saw she was there and actually got pictures with Ricky Starks and a few others. And I was thinking, how awesome would it be if she was a pro wrestler?
Yeah, right.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That would be an insane story. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out
Special
there.
announcement. Man, he's all about special announcements.
It's every week.
Yeah. it got a little old for a while.
Yeah.
But I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Pro wrestling's really, really hot right now.
It is.
And it's good to be on this ride with you and everyone else. Scott, I appreciate you joining us for the pod today.
Yeah.
Before I go, where can the folks listen to you?
Well, we are on the FM dial. We're at 100.1 if you're in the area. Otherwise, explore Okoboji.com. You can stream us there, and we do have the Okoboji radio app.
Yes, check that out, The Morning Fix.
Yeah.
Scott and Hank every weekday morning from 6 to 10. And then a little bit of that mid-afternoon drive, that wake-up call for the late bird with Scott, 10 till 2 on Y100.
That's right.
As well. Scott, thanks for coming on today. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And that has been this episode of The Cell. Again, next week, I'm sure we're going to be going over NXT Vengeance Day. We're going to be covering that special announcement. Will Gypsy Rose sign with AEW? And we are also going to be continuing our WWE film watch series with my friend Payne. We will see what film we have next time. This has been The Cell.